Hi, Forex fans. It's Rob, the Forex Explorer, and I'm back again. I've rebooted my brand. I'm really excited to be here. I now have the forexplorer.com, which is my website that I'm going to be writing stuff on, opinions, reviews, etc. And as part of that, I've written a review for Dawn of Andromeda and the new DLC called Subterfuge. To accompany that review, I wanted to make a video here to kind of show the things that I've been talking about, some images to the words, and discuss a little bit further what it is I liked and disliked about Dawn of Andromeda and the Subterfuge DLC. So let's get started. I don't want to get too bogged down into any of the things that I've spoken about because I've written a review and I think that the review speaks for itself, but I do want to go over the various aspects of things that I spoke about. So you can, like, again, you can see it. So this won't be a terribly long video, but it does accompany the written review. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go to theforexplorer.com and read it. And come on back and let's do this. So, Dawn of Andromeda. One of the things I really liked, still like, is the map, the galaxy map here. And it's because it takes a lot of, I think it takes a lot of inspiration from Sins of a Solar Empire, maybe a little bit of Stellaris, but I think Stellaris and Dawn of Andromeda came out roughly at the same time. And I like it. It's set up well, and there's gonna be a game you're gonna take inspiration from. Sins of a Solar Empire is certainly a good game to take inspiration from. So it works for this game. It's pretty simple. There's nothing really wild that you're ever gonna run into. A lot of the systems are very similar. There are occasionally, like here, I think that's maybe it's a black hole. I don't remember. But there are some variations to the systems. I don't necessarily like that you can see all of them from the very beginning, but I don't know. Ooh, sorry, the sounds are pretty bad. Um, Slow down things here for a second. But I like it. I think it works well for the game, and I've always thought that a deeper Sins of a Solar Empire would work well and be fun. So, yeah, let's call it something I like. Next up, I think that the colony management for Dawn of Andromeda is pretty fun. In it, I mentioned in my review that I liked Master of Orion 1 better than Master of Orion 2 because I don't like being bogged down by colony queues. And I know that's like something that we're all doing now. And every 4X game ever has a colony queue or a city queue, and you have to build buildings in all of them. But I personally like being pretty hands off with that stuff because I feel like an emperor would be pretty hands off with that stuff. Divide it up to the governors and let them do their thing. So I really appreciate that Dawn of Andromeda tries to do this, and it works well for the most part. You're given 5 investment points per colony. You can divvy those up how you please, and each time you divvy them up, you get closer to increasing their level. And each of these will tell you what happens when you increase their level. And it's subtle. It's not huge, but I do appreciate it. And I also really appreciate that, and this is an aside because we haven't talked about Subterfuge yet. I do like that Subterfuge adds some buildings, nothing crazy, but they do add some like bonus buildings to colony management because they don't become overwhelming. There's not so many of them that I'm like, oh my god, I got to build them all. But they do allow for some specialization of colonies that I appreciate, and I appreciate the system too because I like hands-off stuff, and I do like that there are limitations to it, so I couldn't just max out everything. I do feel like the limitation should come from your ability to generate income or to like fund them more than just having a hard cap on investment points. Like right now, my balance is currently positive by 6 credits a week. If I just wanted to go 5 in all of these, I should be able to, and it should just drain the ever living crap out of my treasury. So it's not sustainable. But whatever. Yeah, that's a nitpick. I like the system, and I think it's great. I like that the information here is very, very clear. There's no, questions as to what each of these infrastructure levels do, and it just feels very clean. So, yeah, great stuff. And then here, there's available projects you can do more later as you research stuff, and we can talk more about trading here in a second. And then here's the way you build ships. I can build a couple Sunrise fighters or whatnot. Colony management is superb. I like it a lot. And the other only nitpick I would have is that I'd like to see these buildings maybe become cooler, because as they stand now, like the infrastructure housing level 2 would only make these buildings just a little bit taller. I'd really like to see like a graphical representation of housing becoming way cooler than it does, and unfortunately it never gets much cooler than it is right now, except there's more. That being said, I want to talk about the RPG elements in this game, which I really like. All right, so what happens is that you will occasionally run into merchants or various people that can sell you artifacts, and artifacts are something you research and then gain bonuses from. So it's like loot. It's like an action RPG with loot, and I love this. I really do, because the artifacts have a variety of different bonuses they give you. They can give you bonuses to research. They can be worth a lot of money. They can be really awesome for diplomacy. It's just really cool stuff. And each time you find an artifact, it's like there's an excitement about researching them and finding out what kind of bonus it'll give you or what it's going to do for you. It may just, be worth a lot of money. It may just be worth a little bit of money. It may do absolutely nothing and you have no idea what it does even after researching. That's really cool. I like it a lot. And I also like the system here with characters. You meet different characters throughout your travels. There's a merchant here. Oh, see, there's an ancient book. I can buy it. And then when I buy it, I can go back over to artifacts and research it. So it'll take 2 months and 2 weeks. And then after we're done, it may just be nothing. It may absolutely be completely unknown to us. Even after we've researched it, we still don't know what anything is in it means anything. But sometimes you'll get really, really lucky, and it'll be like the ancient book of diplomacy, and you'll be able to now conduct diplomacy so much better and stuff like that. It's just really cool. I like it a lot. And you also get characters that'll fly through. You can hire this person as part of your council. Outlaws, there's a bounty for all of them, and you can set them as targets, and wanted for, there's various things that they're wanted for, grand robbery, or various crimes. These are really cool. I like this a lot. This is something I'd hope to see in nearly every game going forward, because it just adds so much flavor and depth to this universe. Like, I start to think, oh wow, Daturia Sul, like, I know that guy. I might see him in my characters list, and then I might see him out on the actual map, and I'm like, oh god, he's got a 250 credit balance, or I'm sorry, bounty, and it might go up. He might start doing more. So it's really cool. I like it a lot, and I think that it's something that needs to be in various ways in other games, because it like I said, it creates so much depth and story to this universe that I really appreciate. And it makes them more than just heroes and governors. It's true characters that are going around, flying around, doing their thing, and sell you stuff and give you cool artifacts. And the artifacts themselves are there's a little bit of backstory, but they do cool things in this game. That's really cool. I really like it, and I hope to see more of it. The other thing that I really like is the attempt at faction asymmetry. It's not true asymmetry because, as you can tell, there are just like a bunch of bonuses and malices to each of these, but they are stronger and like more pronounced than most. So the Terran Union is very good at diplomacy, which is so cliche for the Terrans to be good at diplomacy, but but they also have stuff like, okay, prosperity isn't affected if the empire is at war. Every other empire will have their prosperity affected if you're at war, but the humans aren't, which makes them very unique, because prosperity is something you really have to deal with, and it used to be so difficult. Now it's a little bit easier, but it's something you have to manage, and with the humans having that, it works well for them. It's a huge bonus for them. Their relations are improved by 5 and stuff like this. So those may sound like minor things, and some of them really are minor things, but there are a lot more pronounced, changes to their abilities to play this game than most games, most 4X games. And some of these factions actually are very asymmetric in that they can only colonize planets that you can at all. Like my Highgarth Order probably colonizes like normal planets, whereas the I forgot what they're called, but there is a faction that's basically like little gas balls, and they can colonize gas giants, which no one else can. So it makes them, it makes their strategy a little bit different, and they may actually have more gas planets on a map. See, look, there's a gas planet right there, and as you can see, you can colonize them, but only if you're them. And I forgot their name. I wish I could remember their name. But yeah, it's really cool. It's an attempt to make things very different. And the cool thing too is that they play differently. Like when you play them as AI, they feel different. They interact with you differently. So I like that. I like that a lot. I would like to see it a little bit more pronounced, but it's definitely way better than most. So um, let's get into some things I don't like the UI. And this is something that I don't like right here. This is actually not bad. There are a lot of elements that occur within your drop down news items there that you can't jump to. Like this one you can. Distress signal received. It's added to my Emperor log and I can jump to my system location. And then there's okay, we'll get to this too. Sorry. Convince them to leave, blah blah. But there are a lot of elements that you can't, like once they come through this drop down news item list here, you can't jump to. You can't get to without closing that menu. Like, okay, let's just pretend that it's this one. It could be like I'm trying to remember the kind of things that I'm talking about. Maybe we can get through and see some of it, but you'll go through into the menu, and you'll have to come out of it and go to like your Emperor log, and then from there you'll have to go to distress signal from Takuria. You can still use this, but it feels frustrating to have to go through after you've been given notification of a particular event to have to go through your Emperor log and then find out what's going on. Why? I want all of these notifications to have a jump to option. So like in this case, clearly I can jump to my next research, which is great. But it doesn't do that for, I'd say, half of the UI of the news items that occur. And that's frustrating. Cree studies us. All right, cool, whatever. In that case, though, it would be nice if I could jump to the diplomacy with the Cree. All right, like the Treco study us. I can only close it. Why do I need to know this? I would love to have an option for me to jump to diplomacy, or maybe I can, I should also I should study them. So, jump to research. There needs to be more options. The UI is not so great. And the other thing I really hate, and this is something I despise with the fiery burning passion of 1,000 suns, is their over-reliance on icons. So here, like, this is sneaky, and how the hell would I know sneaky from that icon? It looks like a magnifying glass. How is that sneaky? I mean, I don't know how to make an icon for sneaky, but it'd probably look like a little burglar, like walking around or something. But this doesn't it. And I hate that there's icons here instead of just regularly written out traits. They've clearly, they're able to do that. I see that kind of stuff somewhere else. Like here, that kind of text could be right here telling me all about all this stuff, and it should be written out instead of me having to mouse over each of these icons to see what they say. And it's the same thing with the council. And actually, it's even worse with the council because when you first start the game, you have to choose your council, and you have to go and mouse over all of their icons to figure out what they're good at instead of just being written out like it is here. It's frustrating. I hate it. So you can see each of these icons are very, very different. Like, what about a check mark is pragmatic? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. And even after 30 hours of this game, I still have not remembered all these icons. So I have to mouse over them every single time. It's frustrating, and I don't like it. Beyond that, the rest of the UI is pretty bare bones. I do like the our colony screen because each colony will line up like that. You can actually adjust their production based on, through the screen, which I really like. All right, you also have a colonizable screen that helps me. Again, traits with their icons, I don't like them. I mean, in this case, I guess they're not so bad because they're pretty clear what they are, but I don't know what vast canyons do until I mouse over it. That's a minor complaint because I think a lot of games do that, but with the other stuff, I'm gonna keep going with that. I could go on about that all day. Yeah, so the UI it's not terrible, it's just not great, and there are elements that could be really cleaned up. I don't like the over reliance on the opacity like being very low, um, because why do I need to see through this? It doesn't make any sense. I just wish there was some personality to the UI instead of having it all like pretty transparent and clear. It could just be much nicer. I get the idea of having it pretty, you know, clear and transparent up here, but even then, it's not actually. Now that I realize it's not. Why? Yeah. See, it's just they're so very inconsistent. But that's something I don't really like, and I wish they'd stuck with you know, trying to provide with informative UI over the clean, like Amplitude Studios look almost. Amplitude Studios does it so much better. So I would just wish that they'd give us, in the absence of making it super clean and simple and still providing us information, I'd rather they just provide us information. So that being said, something else that I don't really like about this game is the economy. There's a few different strategic resources. None of them are particularly interesting, and there's only a few of them. And once you obtain one, you basically have it throughout your entire empire. It's bonuses to various things that really just don't do much. It would be so much cooler if there were particular strategic resources that would give you, a particularly powerful weapon or the ability to do anything that your fellow people can't do. But the strategic really doesn't feel strategic in that, like, okay, I don't feel particularly compelled to fight somebody over, what was this? Aromium. Like, okay, cool. Your industry infrastructure is developed 20% faster. Like, all right, I'm not gonna fight you over that. If you had something that was offering plus 10 to your combat prowess, like your ability to hit me, and plus 10 was like the difference between me losing or winning a war, of course I'd fight you over that. Or you had something that gave you a particular type of ship that I couldn't produce on my own without strategic resources like that. Yeah, that would be a reason for me to fight. But the stuff they've got in this game does not compel me to fight, and does not compel me to do anything remotely other than just let them have it. And there's a trading system that you're able to trade with your AI brethren for stuff like that, but I don't feel compelled to do that because I just don't care about it. And that's not a good sign. Yeah. It's a desire to keep things streamlined, I'm sure, but it's also way too simple and it doesn't feel fun. So, in the absence of, like I said, in the absence of being able to make things simple and clean, I would just add depth. Give us information. I want all this stuff. I want more resources. I don't want to play a game that I can play better in Sins of a Solar Empire. I mean, granted, there are some things this game does that Sins of a Solar Empire doesn't do, but none of them are doing it so well that I feel like I should play this over that game, and that's sad. That makes me sad. Um, let's talk about combat for a second. So I've got a couple. What are they? Sunrise fighters. Let's combine them with. Oh, see, I can't even shift click to grab more. That's something like another UI issue. Like, it's just not cool. And then if I click on one of them, that's it. I have to reselect all of these. These that's not good. In a game that's reliant on so much like RTS elements, the RTS elements suck. That being said, let's find someone to fight. Let's just find anything to fight. And while I'm talking about the fighting, we'll go here. I'll talk about some of the other issues I have with the UI. So, a lot of times you have to double click, triple click, quadruple click to get things to go anywhere. Like those ships, I can't tell you how many times I've had to just like triple click, to get them to actually go where I'm telling them to go. That's kind of a bug, I think, but it's also part of the UI issues that I have with it. And while we're waiting for our ships to get over there, I'll just keep going. Actually, I'll set up this combat. So the combat really doesn't have much in the way of depth either. So you'll go to this monster here, and granted, as you get through the research tree, you'll be able to acquire like active abilities, but none of them are particularly exciting. It really is just going to end up being me you know, lining up my fleet against this guy, and we'll just, pound it out. Watch, we'll slow it down here a little bit so you can see the magnificence. I can't even see my ship. Here's my ship. And they will just line up, and they'll just exchange fire over and over again. There's no movement. There's nothing. It's just two ships firing at each other. In this case, it's a monster firing at my ships. But that's how it is. There's nothing exciting. You have to actually hand select any ship that you want to use your special abilities for. They won't like show up here, even though you've got some UI space. It's just stuff like that. You know, maybe some of this will be nitpicky to some of you guys, but when you played this game for 30 hours, you're just like, why? Why can't some of this be here? But with the game being so simple in every other direction, every other way, you would hope combat would have some sort of depth to it, but it doesn't. Just two lines of ships going at each other. No cool tricks, nothing at all, which does not bode well for a game that's already doing so many other things not correctly. Let's talk about research. We'll come back to that combat because I'm sure it's going to be super exciting. And speaking of super exciting, this research tree is not at all. I don't like it. There's something wrong with a game that offers text like this. Unlocks the Entertainment Center Planetary Project. Improves approval by 4%. Whoop-de effing do. 4%. And I researched this, and then I get the pleasure of building said entertainment center for a 4% bonus. Raises the maximum level of industry infrastructure in your colony by 1. Now, what would 1 do? I know you guys are on the edge of your seats. What would 1 do? 1 would increase my productivity by 0.3. Wow. That is basically the research tree in a nutshell. There's nothing really exciting. And that really bothers me because 4X games are particularly exciting because of their progression and your ability to do things that you weren't able to at the beginning. And there's none of that in Dawn of Andromeda. All of these are pretty bare bones, nothing terribly exciting. Great managers, what does that do? Increases my base productivity in all colonies by 0.2. Like, what in the actual hell? Who thought that would be a cool research topic? It's mind-boggling. There's nothing to that makes me like, the whole just one more turn comes from, the desire to, finish that last battle or get that last research topic. That doesn't happen here because who cares about the battles? Who cares about the research topics? Oh, look. Are they all gone? No, they're right there. But yeah, it's just, there's so much that this game could have done. The system, the bare system, the foundation of the system is actually pretty good. The UI isn't horrendous. It's actually pretty decent looking. If you could just add more, information, that'd be great. And take away those freaking icons, that'd be amazing. If you spiced up combat and made it fun, made the actual animations cool looking, and added ability or active abilities, that would be cool. If you made some research topics worth a damn and provided cool research topics that changed the way the game is played, that would be cool. If you added much more strategic resource or many more strategic resources that actually, I don't know, were strategic in nature, that would be cool. It's just, there's so many things that you need to do to fix this game. And I was hoping that Subterfuge would add some of it. And instead it added an espionage system that really doesn't, I don't know anyone who really likes espionage in a 4X game. In fact, I can't think of but maybe one or two. So look at this. Where's the fun in that? Anyways, I can't do it. But espionage in 4X is not really particularly fun. I can think of Endless Legend that tried to do some cool things, but even then I didn't really like it in Endless Legend. And Master of Orion 2016, I appreciated what it did, and it probably was one of the best espionage systems I've ever seen. But I still wasn't really excited about espionage. It's not like I can't wait to see espionage. And here we are with Subterfuge, and it adds espionage. a couple new races, and a fuel mechanic that really bothers the shit out of me. Because, first of all, it should be a base game thing. It should have been added to the base game. As you can see, the outline of this, like, I don't know, brighter lit area here, that's where my fuel range is. And that was in response to some people's frustrations that you can take your starting scouts and literally explore the entire galaxy before with no repercussions. There was nothing, and it would just steal the element of discovery away because there wasn't really anything to look forward to. And still, I mean, now that I know that there's not really much in the way of like anomalies or exciting galaxy features, I know that getting my range extended isn't going to really do too many cool things, but at the very least there's now some, like, limitations to your abilities to explore at the get-go, and you have to explore, or I'm sorry, you have to research topics in order to get more fuel capabilities, or you have to like explore out and find colony places, and then use those colony, like if I colonize this planet here, which you can tell by the flags which systems have colonizable planets. But if I let's say I colonized Imiosh, my fuel range would extend a little bit, and I like that. It makes sense to me. You shouldn't be able to just go anywhere immediately from the get-go. There are fuel limitations in real life. There would be fuel limitations, and I don't need everything to be like remotely close to being accurate, but I just feel like fuel would be an issue. And the fact that that is now behind a $7 paywall through the DLC bothers me. It should have been introduced into the base game, but now you have to buy the expansion in order to get it, and it just seems like a base game change. And like I said, the espionage, really, nope, I don't really care. In fact, it doesn't do it any better here. I don't particularly think that it's exciting or fun, and it's weird that you can do it from the very get-go, which is totally fine, but the operations that you can assign are really just run-of-the-mill crap that I don't really enjoy. Like, what do I need about elaborating a colony report? What is that going to do? What am I going to use that for? What am I going to use that information for? I don't understand. Why do I care about the humans' colony? If I'm looking at it like I want to steal it, I'm not going to wait for that report to come back and say, oh yeah, it's a pretty good steal. The colony's great, so I'm going to steal it. No, I'm going to steal it. I don't care. I just don't understand it. So that's my frustration. The new races are pretty cool, I guess, but they're nothing terribly special. And again, there was a chance for some more asymmetry there, but they didn't jump on it. So there's some new stuff too. I guess there's some new content. I don't really know because I didn't play but maybe 10 hours of this and realized it's the same game because they didn't really do anything different other than the fuel mechanic and espionage. I don't really know. I couldn't tell you what else was different about this game, and that's frustrating. Because, again, like I said, if they had taken what I know they know are the weaknesses to this game, because they are well documented and people have said stuff about them all over Steam, all over their own forums, if they had listened to that and they'd not adjusted, what's the word? Addressed, that's the word. Addressed these issues, then they could have made Dawn of Andromeda a great game. Maybe. Because I think the foundation's good there. But they didn't. They didn't address any of it. They didn't take any of what was going on with this game that didn't make it particularly fun or interesting or deep and expand on that. They just added some stuff and they called it a day. And then they put a fuel mechanic in there that really just boggles my mind as to why it didn't make it into the base game. I could keep going. I'm not going to because it's clear that I am very frustrated with Dawn of Andromeda. I will never return to this game unless they come back and they actually address any of these things that I've talked about. I just don't ever imagine coming back because there are better games out there. There are many better games out there. If I want deep gameplay, I can go to any of these other games. If I want a real-time strategy 4X hybrid, Stellaris is doing this better than this game. If I want it to be simplified, I'll go for Sins of a Solar Empire because everything else is simplified, but the combat at least is great. So where is Dawn of Andromeda's niche? Like, where is its focus? What is going to make me want to play this game over all the other games? And I can't tell you anything that would, because Everything Dawn of Andromeda does, it doesn't do it anywhere close to as good as all the other games. So if you're listening, Grey Wolf, I really would like to see you do something, you know, more unique. Focus on what you guys are doing well, like the cool RPG stuff. Like if you just added a bunch of content to that, I'd have been happy. Um, added more character types to the people that you're gonna find, or more item types, more artifacts, or really, uh, preferably would have been for you to address the issues that aren't so fun. The icon stuff, that would be great. Combat would have been cool if you'd added some really cool, additional combat elements, some cool abilities, some movement, any of this, guys. So thanks for listening, guys. Thanks anybody who took the time to hear me rant and rave about this game, because I know that there's not many people that are even particularly interested in a game like this, but I think that they've limited the amount of people that are even going to consider it even further by making it so simple, and I feel frustrated by that. So thank you for listening, and hopefully you guys will be with me on my journey as I continue this 4Explorer thing. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, anything like that, please come to the website, the4explorer.com, or you can leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much. Until the next time, keep exploring.